It's a pleasure for me to welcome our first witness, a fellow Coloradan and constituent, Mitchell West, to the subcommittee. Mr. West is an independent insurance broker with Health Choice One in Greenwood Village, Colorado. He provides customized assessments of insurance products for small business clients and assists them with any claims. He holds a BS from the University of Southern California. He is testifying on behalf of the National Association of Health Underwriters. I must also mention that Mr. West and his wife, Jamie, have 3 children. Their son, Trenton, graduated with honors from the U.S. Air Force Academy and is currently stationed in Seattle, Washington. As a U.S. Marine Corps combat veteran, I commend your son for his service to our country. Mr. West.
And I am an independent broker in Centennial, Colorado. And I believe I share the sentiments of the 22,000 licensed agents in Colorado, as well as the over 1 million agents across the U.S. I am a small business owner. I have 1 full-time employee, and this is typical of health insurance agents. I'm glad for this opportunity to address what the MLR has meant to us as we've moved forward since its implementation this year. I have a bachelor's degree in biomedical engineering, followed up by graduate course level work in industrial systems engineering, electrical engineering, and business administration. In 2002, I was thrown into a new environment. I was laid off as a result of the dot-com and telecom busts, and I had to find health insurance for my family. And I'd never been there before. In spite of my background, all the training I had, I was inundated with information. I couldn't make sense of it. I couldn't discriminate between what was good, what wouldn't be so good. And at that time, it was only with the help of a professional agent that I was able to figure out what to do. And boy, was I glad that I did. I realized what the mistake was that I might have made if I'd progressed on my own. A couple of months later, I began my career as a licensed agent, and that experience was fresh in my mind. As I met with my clients, I began to understand that they all had a common element. They had more misconceptions about health insurance than they had real facts, and they did not even know what questions to ask as they were seeking to figure out what would be best for themselves and their families. I've since worked with over 5,300 clients in 27 states, and I've come to the realization that my primary job is to educate my clients. In my written testimony, I've listed 14 areas and topics which I consider to be essential in covering with my clients. And while this is a very time-consuming approach, I think it's essential, and it's very much appreciated by my clients, and why I have hundreds and hundreds of clients that have been with me for over 8 years. None of these activities generate 1 penny of revenue for my business. My only source of income is the commission stream paid after the sale of health insurance policies, and all of these commissions come through the insurance companies which I represent. As a direct result of MLR requirements effective January 1 this year, every insurance company I represent, without exception across the United States, severely reduced commission levels. My overhead expenses are unchanged for 2011, and in fact, they'll go up next year. The net result to my practice has been a decrease to my bottom line of 50%. You all have business experience. You can imagine the gravity of a 50% impact to your bottom line as a small business. Many agents, especially those that were in the building phases of their practices, have simply exited the business. They just couldn't make cash flow. Others have chosen to move into other areas of insurance where they can be more successful. And for the majority of remaining agents, the current situation is not sustainable in the long run. Millions of Americans are in need of health insurance for a variety of reasons. Put yourself in their shoes. The health insurance environment has never been more complex and confusing, and they've never been more in need of professional assistance. I cannot stay in business operating the way I used to, and so my time must be allocated differently. Pro bono work, I just can't do it anymore. I will be forced to spend less time with all of my current clients, and that inevitably means in the long run they will pay more for their insurance and gain lesser benefits. Insurance companies are also cutting staff for the same pressures and reasons that we are. So the double whammy of insurance agents being restricted and insurance companies cutting back on support staff is a negative impact to the consumers in general. HHS was given sole responsibility for implementing and defining the MLR calculation, and they have the power to recognize these facts and make changes. Despite the best efforts of industry groups, consumer groups, the National Conference of Insurance Legislators, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, and many members of Congress, HHS has been unwavering in their position and has chosen to not act. Therefore, the only solution is a legislative one, and it is needed immediately. Much damage has already been done to tens of thousands of agents and numerous consumers nationwide, and the tide must be changed, and it must be changed before the agent community reaches a point of no return. I appreciate the opportunity to share these thoughts. MLR is an example of legislation which I think has resulted in unintended negative consequences to both small business and consumers, and members of Congress need to be aware of these facts, and on behalf of the American people, to work with a sense of urgency to correct these issues. There's significant more information in my written testimony, and I hope that will be helpful to the committee. Thank you.